Hey everyone, look at this, we have a deer. I've actually seen 6 of them today. Oh, I was trying to get him to turn around, but that works too. You gotta watch out more for the deer. They're more unpredictable because they jump around so quickly. I usually see more moose than deer out here, but today we're seeing a lot of deer. There we go. There's the first moose of the day. Just ran across the road. Oh, he's looking over here. Here we go. First moose of the day. They're not looking very good this year. What do you think that is? It could be either ticks or mange. Mange is caused by tiny little mites that irritate them so they scratch all their fur off, or it could be a ton of ticks that they're trying to get off them. That's why you see a lot of hairless moose. They've been looking pretty good the past couple years, but now they're starting to look like they did 3 years back. Not a good year for the moose. And yep, there's another one. I shouldn't have shut the camera off right at the last moment. I noticed that. Look at, there's another one in there. There's 2 of them, but that's the only friendly one sticking around to see me. Look at that, there's still a little bit of snow. It is May 5th, 2026. Look at that erosion right there. It's not the culvert. Look at this sinkhole. You do not want to pull over on that side of the road. That's what's happening because it is still frozen underneath there and it's not thawing out evenly. All right, everyone, we are pulling up on the first major flood of the day. We have a few of them that we're coming up to today. So this is an area we actually came out inspecting a couple weeks ago, and it wasn't a problem. We thought the beavers were gone. Wow. They were in the same area messing with the road last year. I guess they unclogged it back in the fall, too late in the season for them to dam it back up. Let's see if there's anything we can do about it. Gonna pull it over as far as we can. We gotta be careful. I don't think the ground is still frozen here. See how far I'm able to pull over without sinking. I hear so many nice happy birds. Sun's only been up about an hour. I hear logging already happening in the distance. The trucks aren't going to be running again probably until early June, until these roads completely thaw out. Even though areas like this are already firm again, despite how much water there is, it's not frozen. Underground melting frost is what causes it to be muddy. Once that thaws through, the road settles and it becomes firm. Doesn't matter how much it rains, usually not a problem. But as you see, there's still areas out here that are bad. The beavers clog the drainage ditch so it can't come down here. These systems are usually designed, if one pipe gets blocked, it can just come on down here. Well, you know what? We were out here 2 weeks ago. We flagged a culvert pipe up there with blue ribbons. The beavers have that one plugged. 2 weeks ago, this huge pipe was not clogged. Now it is. Look at all that fresh beaver debris. The beavers were even eating chips. That's a substantial pipe. And it's not very deep in the ground. Do they block the end of it where we can get to it? Or do they block it internally? That's the big question. I think we might be able to do it. Yeah, I think we might be able to unclog this. That's not super deep. We're gonna get the big high boots on and see. Now, where do these beavers live? It's not a very big swamp. Doesn't go back very far. They're not gaining a lot by doing this. We're looking for a lodge. Look at all this water that's crossing the road. It'd be amazing if we could get this to stop. Look at all that erosion. Look at all these beaver-chewed sticks. They're here in the middle of the night trying to dam this right in the center of the road. Right where it starts going over. Last year they had quite a little dam going here in the middle of the night, every night. Until trucks started driving through it, messing it up. And this swamp really is not great. Look at that. There's not much water out there. They're flooding this road so badly for so little gain. And I'm willing to bet this is a secondary swamp. Because it's so small. I can see all the way to the back of it. Yes, the lodge could be very well hidden. But I don't see it. Lots and lots of moose tracks. See that right there? That little sinkhole? That made me think that this plastic pipe's coupling, that's usually where it crushes. It's weak at the coupling. Well, that's why I flagged it, because it's not working regardless. We were out here last week, and the end of this pipe you see is not clogged. There very well could be a beaver dam inside of this pipe. Now, it goes back in there a little distance. See? There is land, but it does go in there a bit. This pipe failed, regardless if it's a beaver dam or I think it's crushed. But they probably help seal it up even more. I'm honestly surprised that it's flowing as much as it is. Usually beavers would hear this flowing water and plug it up even more. I'm surprised it's flowing at all, knowing beavers. Look at all that really nice looking slime. Anyways, the first shift workers just came out. There was a quick burst of a dozen vehicles coming out to their machines about a half an hour ago. Now that they're out here, there really won't be any traffic for the rest of the day, except every now and then a forestry ranger will probably drive by, and they're cool with us. All right, everyone, we gotta give it a good old try. This is gonna be my literal warm-up exercise. I've only been awake for about an hour. You might be able to tell I'm shivering a little bit. Getting my body working. So we got camera number 2 right here that we're gonna hook up. Hopefully the beavers will make this easy for us, but probably not. All right, camera number 2 is going. Let's see. Is this going to be easy or difficult? It doesn't seem very hard, but this looks like a lot of water pressure. Hopefully we can get a whirlpool going in there. All right, everyone, we already got a whirlpool going. We'll move you on in closer. Wow. I'm sweating now. Already out of breath. I'm really hoping it's gonna wash out at some point and give me a break. We've already got it out of the road down there. The pressure is horrible to fight. I'm not really pulling anything out. Usually poking at these, eventually it gives with the water pressure helping. If not, this is gonna drop. The water is definitely coming in here slower than it's leaving now because it's no longer in the road at all. We also have no idea how deep this dam goes either. We do have a lot of good pressure. I see an undertow dragging over junk, but I'm trying to focus on the edges of it, so hopefully it can just wash through at some point. Woo! Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and we come back out here in the afternoon and it miraculously washed out. Maybe. The other side's not running dirty. What that means is this water pressure is not causing further erosion. But this pipe, we've now got it nearly completely open on the end. The problem is there's still a dam on the inside of it. That's what I'm trying to push at, trying to get it to wash out. If you remember this from our last episode out here, this culvert, or actually you should have been able to see it at the exiting end when I first began. It's factory crushed like an oval. They do that in areas with a lot of bedrock where you can't go down as much. Oh my gosh. Can you see that on the camera? There's so many mosquitoes around. I have yet to get bit by one. In fact, I'm not even carrying insect repellent yet with me. We still have plenty of nights below freezing. Not last night, 2 nights ago though. Out here got down to 25 Fahrenheit. I do see an undertow, so that means it's still got a ton of power to it. And I think in the next hour the pipe will be out of the water. Here's what the entrance of the pipe looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. We got about 90% of the way open. But I am estimating half the pipe is still blocked by capacity on the inside. Maybe. We can try to clear up a little bit of this too to help it flow. What I'm doing now is creating more pressure on that pipe. Maybe this will help it wash out. I hear a lot of noise in there. Wow, way out here in the wilderness. Who's helping these beavers? Now they have cookies. But here's what the exiting end of the pipe looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. All right, camera number 2 is going. There's still stuff getting dislodged. Look at that new stick. That's giving me hope that it could just give out. The noises it made, it felt like this was gonna just wash out. Taking care of that at the end. No water going across. Yeah, that definitely did accelerate it a little bit. Let's take a look down here where the water was going across at its maximum. And we will come down here again towards the end of the day. and see our complete progress. While it's flowing that much, beavers can't do anything about it. Here's what the flooded road looked like at its worst. And here's what it looks like now. We now got that water at least half a foot below the crown of the road. And look at all those suds. When you see suds and foam near water, it's just the nasty swamp water being agitated like bubble bath. That contains rotting plant matter, feces, natural oils forming in the swamp. All comes together in that foam. Harmless. You wouldn't even know it's there. The water's crystal clear. That's just from the water getting agitated. But we'll be back later, and that pipe will be surely out of the water by then. But we did get that entrance anyways, just about all the way open. I just want to see what's in the middle of the pipe. Now, beavers will come by with material and float it from a distance and let it get stuck against the entrance. That's their only method. Any small stuff they bring over is just going to get sucked through. But they have an abundance of building material. Every tree you see right there is willow. Their favorite food and favorite building material. There's also no more water coming down the ditch where we first started. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. What will the beavers accomplish by the time we get back? I don't know, but we have multiple other flooded roads on the plans to see if we can do anything about it. And a couple roads that we might even have to winch out. They're so horribly muddy. It was a road I was not going to attempt last night at midnight. I also found this one at midnight. Wasn't going to attempt any of these jobs at that hour. Now I gotta turn the air conditioning on, it's so hot. Nothing better than a morning wake up than unclogging a culvert. It gets your blood pumping, all that activity like that. Nothing better to help you wake up. What you're hearing is some spring peeper tree frogs, but only a couple. At night, there's some areas there'll be thousands. You can't even hear their individual peeps. It'll just be a blaring screech throughout the night. Look at this, special delivery for the beavers. Fell off one of the log trucks. We're only a couple minutes down the road. Yep, there's absolutely beavers here. This is one of our old swamps. We used to come here every couple weeks, all summer long. Beavers weren't here last season, but they are absolutely back. This was not clogged 2 weeks ago when there was ice on this. Now that it's melted out, the beavers are going to be a consistent issue until they're relocated. Relocation by the DNR does not start until June. We pulled that out 2 weeks ago. Hasn't been picked up yet. There's really not many people on these roads yet. So, you see how badly the road's flooded down there? If we can keep that under wraps like we just did, better chance a DNR will get them. But if they keep flooding it like that, and it becomes time to run the heavy trucks, and it's still like that, that's when they'll kill the beavers off. Will the DNR get to them in time? Who knows? This will be a fun one to open up. I always love doing this one. Look at that dry riverbed. I think we can get that flowing pretty good. So everyone, this is the first day of 2026 where we are actually overwhelmed. There is too much going on today. We're going to have to break this up into the next few days. Last night, driving out here at midnight, we discovered dozens of blockages that have occurred since we were here 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, many of these bodies of water were still frozen. Now that it's the second week of May, there are so many blockages popping up now that the beavers can build. They weren't at this location last year. They got relocated 2 years ago. You know what? It's prime beaver real estate. They are back. take a look at this blockage. It should be fairly easy. There's a grate we can remove, do a little bit of raking. They haven't had a lot of time to plug this. It is not very watertight, thankfully. But we're gonna set up camera number 2 so we can get to work. This is just one of a whole ton of problem areas we identified. So now we're down here and we're gonna set up camera number 2, taking a look at that pipe right there. Alrighty, come on. Alright, there we go. Gotta turn that a little bit. Camera number 2 has a good angle. There we go. Now, this should go fairly well. We used to do this one all the time. I was sad when they got relocated. We pulled that oil container out of the ditch 2 weeks ago. It'll eventually get picked up when these roads open for the season. These roads were supposed to open May 1st, but they've been delayed. It was a colder winter than normal, so there's still mud holes everywhere. Like a missile, there we go! Woohoo! Kaboom! Let's clean this up. We might have another missile to send through. Yes, it's already straightening itself out for us. Here we go! Kaboom! You know that pipe's wide open if that went through. Woo! Yep, wide open. Clean it up a little bit so we can put the grate back nicely. Nope, not one more missile. We're not going to send that one through. It's got a root ball on it. Alright. Put that in backwards for a moment so it can clean up the grate. Turn it around the correct way. There we go. Nice and tight up against it. I get asked all the time, what's the point of the grate? Seems like the beavers can clog it way faster with the grate. You are absolutely right. Makes it way easier for the beaver. All they have to do is come over with their little paws, smear mud over it, and that's pretty much it. Mixed with a little bit of grass and leaves. Super watertight. So why do we put the grate? If we didn't, there's a chance the beavers will build the dam in the middle of the pipe where you can't get to it. And then you need an excavator to ram a log back and forth to get it out. Of course, that would be when the water table drops and it's barely flowing, they build inside it. Especially at the coupling, where they have a little spot to anchor it. So that's why you put a grate. It's easier for them to clog, but really easy for you to unclog yourself too. So that's good. Don't want to get sucked in there, just like the log. I could absolutely get sucked in there too. Look at all that water. I can't wait to see camera number 2. I bet that second log rammed the first one out of the way, am I right? Look at all that pressure! Woo! Love it. Let's get camera number 2 out. That's gonna be a hard one to beat, even though we have another dozen locations to go to today that are blocked. That'll be a hard one to beat. That was quick. It was awesome. That riverbed was so dried up before we started. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Absolutely amazing results. And here's a view of downstream. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Awesome, massive difference. Look at it go, off into the wilderness. There are no more culvert pipes. Out here in the wilderness, to put into perspective how vast it is, we are lucky if we see one vehicle pass us on these roads this time of year at all today. This morning I saw 6 vehicles, but that was first shift logging going out. They're stockpiling logs on the sides of the roads. The trucks won't be on these roads again until June. There's mud holes that are still frozen, and as they melt out, roads are very, very soft. And over here at the beginning, here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Look at that. One stick already went into place automatically by the beavers. You see that metal post out there? At one point, they tried to get along with the beavers. That's what that is. They put a beaver deceiver unit. What that is, this pipe would extend all the way out there, and there'd be a giant cage around it. What that does is, the beavers will try to build around the cage, which takes a very long time to clog up instead of just one pipe entrance. But what happens is, if the beavers can hear the water entering that plastic pipe, they'll chew into it, then clog it, absolutely destroying it. Half the time, even professionally installed by the state, beaver deceivers are incorrectly put in half the time. And that's why they fail. It has to be installed in a way where the water is smoothly entering it without making noise. If that's accomplished, I've seen beavers leave them alone. But if they hear water inside that pipe, it's their natural instinct to find it and block it, so they'll chew their way right on in. Yep, that's what that is. A failed attempt at a beaver deceiver. There's a lot of issues like this on the road. You really can't do anything about it. It's rocky enough that you don't sink into it. Not much you can do. The culvert there is blocked and it's flagged. Can't do anything about that. It's collapsed. The end of it is completely wide open. Now, this road we're on now won't have log traffic until June. There's still lots of frost heaves, so we're not marking anything. Once the frost heaves are gone, if there's any more horrible bumps when the frost is gone, then those will be marked because it means they're permanent. Many bumps on this road will recede when the frost is gone. You see right here, this is the kind of thing we're out here to inspect. I'm backing up right now to show you. See that erosion there? That's telling me water's been crossing here. And I'm gonna figure out why. Maybe it'll be very apparent. If it's not very apparent, we're gonna put up some blue ribbons. But I'm pretty sure I know why it's happening. But I just have to do due diligence. I'm pretty sure it's because it reached capacity. We gotta figure that out. Figure out if there's beavers. Anytime I'm away from the truck for more than 5 minutes, I shut it down. Those are my ribbons right there. Completely blocked by beavers, but this is one we don't reopen or even attempt to reopen because it is collapsed in the ground. Oh wow, that collapsed even more since we put the ribbon up. We'll put some new ribbon up on that. We got moose tracks. I see fresh beaver material, so we might have a problem here again. It's usually not beavers at this location, but there's evidence of them. They have not been messing with the pipe though. See this? This is all part of an old beaver dam foundation. We're wide open, but I already see a problem. So if both of these pipes were here ready to work at full capacity, that water wouldn't have been going across the road like that. And I think beavers are gonna be a problem here because I see fresh evidence of them. You also see in there, garbage plastic pipe. It always gets crushed right at the coupling. It's the weakest point of the pipe. When the roads are soft and muddy, that's where it's gonna get crushed. These roads have super heavy, sometimes 200,000-pound log trucks. These are private roads. There is no weight limit at all. Doesn't take a genius to realize something like this. Look how flexible that is. Of course that gets crushed by big trucks. And then you have all this microplastic just rotting in the sun like that. Another pile of debris that the excavator got out. Here's the metal pipe. These last 30 years before that happens. See how the bottom of the pipe's gone? It had to rust through. And that's why it failed. Yeah, the beavers blocked it, but it's not like we can safely get that opening again. If we open that, water could pass through there, but because it's all rusted, it could also wash out the road from the underneath. Don't touch ones like that. Let's put up some new ribbon. This time of year, you gotta put a good piece of ribbon. I've seen people out here put a measly little piece on these trees. You know what happens? 1 month, those are gonna have leaves and you're never gonna see it. That needs to be visible to the road crews in the summer because the summer is when they're replacing pipes. Not now. All right, this is the exact reason why log trucks cannot be on here until June. Many areas of the road look fine, but even I would get stuck if I tried to go over onto that left side of the road. Very active groundwater around these shaded corners. These roads are definitely still frozen, acting as a liner, so the mud cannot drain. Look at this disaster up here. I'd be scared to even venture onto these roads if it was raining. I would probably certainly get stuck. Oh, look at this culvert pipe. I bet I'm the one who marked that. I need to add more ribbon to that too. Oh wow. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Be careful pulling over, but I think we're far enough away from that heave. Thankfully, there's not much traffic. I would not want to be the person who has to pass me right here. Could easily get stuck over here. Well, we're unlikely to see another soul today. So what happened here is the high water table, the frost here, lifted that up out of the ground. Another reason plastic shouldn't be used. What's it got here? Whole bunch of air pockets. The whole thing floats. Piece of junk. All right, I know for a fact I've marked that before, but when it gets down to -40 in the winter, this stuff becomes brittle and falls off the trees. You'd be amazed how many people ask me where I use the bathroom when I'm out here working. Well, I just drove down this road as far as I could go, as far as I'm willing to go without scratching the truck. Now I just gotta walk off with my little shovel, and that's how we do it. Like that. Lots of moose poop down here. This would be a good abandoned road to put a camera down on. You know, it's that time of the year. There's robins everywhere. They have come back from migration. Hummingbirds are coming back apparently this week. I've already bought a second feeder for them. I've planted lots of flowers. They love my catmint. It's a flower that attracts bobcats. They love coming up to smell it. And it blooms the entire year until the frost kills it in the fall. Love all the creatures coming back, but yet it's May. On the 2nd of the month, we got an inch of snow. Melted as soon as the sun came up, though. Alrighty, everyone, we just made it to our next location. Look what these beavers have done. This is across a seasonal main artery, meaning this was not plowed this winter. It has just thawed out. 2 weeks ago, this was snow covered and I couldn't travel it. The risk of getting stuck 2 weeks ago was 100%. You would have got stuck. Today, there's a few areas if I wasn't careful, but I made it through. We have water crossing, and it's because of the beavers. We dealt with the same location last year. What's amazing is last year when we unclogged it, they never messed with it again, although they were not relocated. Maybe they'll be reasonable again this year. I just parked here at this corner. You wouldn't want to do that in the summer. But I guarantee you a log truck is not going to need this space to turn here. Log truck would never make it out here this time of year. Look at this mess. I partially blame the beavers for this. Actually, and pretty much this is the beavers' fault. The water table is so high, and it froze underneath here. Look at this mess. We're going to attempt to get through this. I attempted last night, but I didn't like how much I was sinking. I believe that's me right here. I stopped right here. I was like, nope, I'm not using the winch in the middle of the night like this. Probably here at 1 in the morning. No, actually, those are my tracks. I made it a little bit further before I decided to back up. Road looks fine up there. Well, I'm just walking on foot. How is my heavy vehicle gonna deal with this? See, someone else, maybe that was me last night that stopped here and backed up. I don't know. Are we going to make it through? If we can make it right there, I think we'll make it. There's another very problem area that I suspect about a mile up here. And if we make it that far, I'm going to try to make this road through the mountain. Otherwise, if we have to hit this from the other way around, it's going to take us 2 or 3 hours if the road is even open yet. Still very muddy because these roads are still frozen beneath. Mud is unpredictable. I'll give it some speed in 4-wheel drive, but I'm not going to fly down here because it's much worse if you get into an area where only half of it sinks and then you're off into the ditch. It's way, way worse. I'd rather get stuck and have to winch out than have myself veer off into something that's potentially horrible. You still hear a couple frogs here. Last night, the amount of frogs peeping was enormous. So let's see how the pipe is. This was a very easy one to drain the road last year. Let's have a look. There's the pipe. It is plastic, but it is deep enough it shouldn't be a problem. So let's follow it over. Is it gonna be easy? I off the bat can't see it. Is it underneath this? Is it further out? I don't know. I think it's right here. I think whatever I just kicked, I feel like I heard it. But we're gonna drain this back. Beavers do not live in this body of water. Probably the reason they didn't really care when we drained it last year. They live right up in here. They'd be completely left alone if they wouldn't mess with this pipe. Logging company wouldn't care. But because they make the road this soft, they're a problem. I see no active evidence of them, but I know they're up there. And by looking at this, they likely clogged it last year. We were in drought back in the fall, so we just never noticed it. You see that dirtiness? There's a little bit of flow. Shouldn't be hard to find. Nice relaxing day. No logging operations going on this road, at least for the next month. Yep, let's go get camera number 2, get the rake, have some fun. All right, everyone, we got the rake, we got camera number 2, the big high boots, we're all geared up. You know it's been a very busy week when my rake is getting shiny like that. We are getting shiny. Look at that pattern in the water, that is so cool. All the dust staying low with clear water over it. I love seeing that. Hear the nice happy tree frog. We're gonna go set up camera number 2. Once we find the pipe, this should be fairly easy. The most difficult part is going to be locating the pipe. I think I just kicked it because I heard something that sounded like an echo. But we're gonna put camera number 2 down here. Getting a nice view from far away, because if I remember last year, this entire grass just got flooded over when that pipe opened up. So we're gonna have a nice far away view for when that opens up. There we go. Camera number 2 is going. It's got to be right here where the ground bumps out. That's from beavers messing with it. So I'm going to put you guys out in the water looking back for a good view, because this shouldn't create too drastic of a blast. Okay, let's try to get it open. Gotta find the pipe first. Where's the end of it? We're definitely hitting it. So we're gonna start from there. We have to find the opening. We get it? Nope. All right, hit it. I'm hitting it. You hear the echo on camera number 2? It's there. It's not there. So the entrance is there somewhere. Oh, we already got it going a little bit. That's really packed. Ooh. Why aren't we moving? It started moving. What's going on? That's a rock. All right. We're gonna start digging the ground up now. Oh man. Pipe, right? Feels like a rock. but it's touching the pipe. Absolutely. What's that? Another rock. Just because we thought we found it doesn't mean anything. You can't see below this mud. Come on. We're back to square one. That did not help. We had movement, false movement. Where's the damn pipe? Is it further out here? Under this pile? Crazy. Is that it? Yeah, we got it, I think. We're in it. It's crazy how you can lose it like that. I hope we got it. I see the current. Let's not let that get plugged again. Yeah, I think we got it open now. We gotta let all this debris pass so it doesn't get lodged in there again. Okay, yeah. Is that it? Yeah, we got it. We got it now. It's crazy how you can just lose it like that. I have no reason to suspect there's a collapse or anything. Time to dig it out so the water pressure can start helping. You gotta open it up more. The end of the rake can't even fit yet. Oh, there we go, I think. There we go. go. Push all the junk through so it doesn't get plugged again. You gotta really clean this up. Let the water clear up so I can see what I'm doing. Use my hands to tell where I gotta dig more, because I can't see at all under there. Okay. At least the plastic pipes are easier to open when they're functioning good. They're slippery. Almost open all the way. Feeling the edges from every angle. I think we're open all the way. Now, I gotta send all the junk through so that it can't just instantly stay plugged or replug itself. The beavers will shove all this back in if it's here. There's so much water pressure it won't get stuck again. Not like this anyways. This will certainly bring it to capacity, where it'll seem like it's slowing down on this side, but not the other side. It looks like it'll slow down just because there's so much water coming in from so many angles now. You've got to get rid of this beaver dam foundation down to the bottom of the pipe so it can drain to its maximum and get off the road. I'm gonna go check camera number 2 real quick. Just making sure it's safe off to the side, so this debris can get stuck against the tripod and knock it over. Mud's getting sticky like peanut butter. Now that there's no more debris to stand on. Just roughening up the ground, making a channel so it can drain all the way to the bottom of the pipe. It was rainy this week, so these issues really started to show themselves. This is the best time of year to do inspections. The ground is still frozen, it can't absorb. It's been raining a lot, tons of snow melt. There was so much snow we couldn't get down these roads 2 weeks ago. The grass is all pushed over from the winter. That's why you can't really inspect all this in the summer. Too dry, nothing's running, you can't look for capacity issues. Everything's hidden. A couple more weeks when these leaves on the trees grow, that'll be the end of our major season. We'll just end up looking for the obvious over the summer, like flooded roads from the beavers. But this time of year, hidden disasters all are able to be shown. Make sure the pipe is still completely open. Yep. Feeling the bottom of the pipe so I can dig it out to that level. Yep, there's still a lot to do. If beavers come by, they'll clog it up, but this is more for water drawdown purposes, and hopefully they leave it alone because it's a secondary pond. Of course they won't if they realize it, but they won't realize this until they inspect it again, because they don't live here. If they lived here, they'd feel this water drop in their lodge, and they'd be out immediately after we leave. Sometimes even while we're still there, they'll come over to you. But in a beaver's brain, it can literally see you or an excavator opening this, and they don't associate it. They just think it's naturally failing. They don't really understand what you're doing. They just see you in their territory, and they will sometimes splash their tail as a threat to get away. But they're unlikely to bother you, especially in a bigger area like this. Beaver attacks are very rare, only a couple people a year, which is very little. What most people don't realize is the most common creature that attacks people is actually farm animals, just because there's so many of them. Nothing out here really wants to bother you. Most things would prefer to walk the other way. Got a few more sticks coming through. Did that make it or did it block? Nope, it made it. Oh, well, that's a first. I lost my rake. I'll go get it. We're almost done anyways. I think that might be a first that I've ever let the rake go by accident. These just take the energy out of you because you're going so quickly. We're almost done. This mud is very soft, so as the water drops, there'll be more rapids going over it that'll naturally help. Like, that's why it's running dirty. It's eroding all by itself. These clumps of grass won't erode by themselves though. Undertow is definitely helping though. Now we can maybe use our feet a bit to break it up. Alright, I think we're just about done. Let's see how long that water takes to clear up over on camera number 2. Give it a moment. It won't completely clear up because it's still eroding a bit. But let's see if there's any difference just from me getting out of there. See those nasty bubbles right there in the whirlpool? That's organic material rotting. Natural oils, feces, all kinds of things mixed together from the swamp. Yeah, that's as clean as it's going to get for the moment until this slows down a little bit. Does look really cool though. Cleaner than I thought it would have been though. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Really, really good difference. We already got the water to not be in the road. I'll show that in a moment. We're also going to take a walk and I'll show you where the beavers actually live that caused this. Oh my gosh, look at the other side. And yeah, it is already running pretty clean, all considering. Here's what the discharge looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Massive improvement. From down below, here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. That's a lot of water coming through. Camera number 2 off. Here's what it looked like from camera number 2's angle before. And here's what it looks like now. Massive, massive improvement. Camera number 2 is going. Sticks coming through. Did that make it or did it block? Nope, it made it. Oh, well, that's a first. I lost my rake. I'll go get it. We're almost done anyways. Now, just because you only see less than half of the capacity right now does not mean it's not at its capacity. What that means is, let me explain. At the entrance, it could be coming in the complete opening of the pipe, but as it goes through the smooth pipe, the water goes faster and faster. As it goes faster, it no longer takes up the entire pipe to clear. So you'll never see the end at capacity unless it reaches differential pressure. And when it reaches differential pressure, you don't want to be near that. It can suck you in. It's not at differential pressure right now. What that means is it'll start basically siphoning. The weight of the water starts pulling even more. Then, in that rare scenario, you will see the entire pipe filled up. But even in that situation, if the pipe is long enough, it will still gain speed But that's the only possible way you would see a culvert at capacity at the end also. Only possible way. But that water is coming out really, really fast. I love to touch that. Look at that. Can't even hold the camera tripod straight. That is blasting. Wow. I had to go and play with that for a moment. Let me get on in there for a moment. This would be a fun place to cool off if it was the middle of the summer. So much nice water, that beautiful linear flow right there. As a kid, I would have spent all day playing with that right there. People ask me all the time what kind of games I like playing online and stuff. I'm not that type of person, and I wouldn't be who I am today if I did. I'd much rather be out here playing with something like this than anything digital. The natural world is so much more exciting. Look at that. Now we got two opposing whirlpools. Things will change as it drops. But that's awesome. Maybe we'll get to check this out again in a couple of hours when it completely recedes. It's already receded about half a foot, as you can see back there where the water line was. Now let's go for a brief walk and I'll show you where the beavers live. Beavers always have natural levels of ponds. Hey, look at that. Look at all the current draining this back area. They'll have different levels of swamps. Primary beaver pond, and there is no limit on secondary beaver ponds depending on their layout. One beaver family could be maintaining dozens of ponds. That's how it is. And they'll always mess with culverts because the road is basically a dam already built for them. They just have to plug one little spot. Why wouldn't they? Here's where they actually live. Last year when we checked this out, it was a brand new lodge. I'm assuming they're still living here. But nothing about this dam in the ditch here is fresh. We're looking for fresh evidence. They might have been relocated. They could have clogged this up right before relocation. But that is a huge beaver lodge. That was a fresh build last year. But beavers renovate. The right side of that lodge is old. Look at the trees growing out of it. It's an older construction. Beavers, just like humans, will move into a old house and fix it. They add a fresh layer of sticks and a fresh layer of mud to the top. Then they hollow out anything rotten on the inside. That's why beaver lodges get bigger and bigger over time. A beaver will live about 10 years. If they die and no one else moves in, it stays fairly small. But sometimes when you see lodges that are bigger than a car, that thing could have been there 100 years with multiple families continuously living in it. They'll even let muskrats live in there with them, and they'll help maintain everything. Muskrat's like a small beaver without a flat tail. I've seen them on trail cameras handing each other sticks to work on dams together on my trail cameras. But this, it was not technically messing with the road negatively. It's low enough not to cause frost heaves. But when they hear flowing water, they have to come to it. It's their instinct to block it up. See, they have all this beneficial water around. And after a drought, these ponds would be more empty. And then you'd have more beneficial retention areas for oncoming floods. That's why they try to relocate them. Now, what do we have here? Look at these egg sacs. What could that be? They look different than any egg sacs I have in my yard. Is that some type of frog? Is it something else? In my yard, the foggy egg sacs are usually salamanders, but these are totally different. Some sort of frog. Is that tree frog eggs? They're smaller masses. Could be. All those peeps you hear are frogs that get maximum the size of a quarter. Usually not even. The tiniest little tree frogs. I'll definitely show some of them at night. They're just so extremely loud. Now, what is this? Is that the start of another lodge, or am I onto something? Is there another pipe here that I've never noticed? Could be. We got more moose tracks. Not that I immediately see. Could have been the start of a second lodge. Beavers are strange creatures. Just like human houses, they're always different. I've seen multiple families living in one massive lodge that potentially has separate rooms. I've seen territorial beavers with a small lodge, not allowing anyone else to move in next door. I've also seen small ponds that have half a dozen lodges. A bunch of families that share the pond, maintain the dam together, but they don't live together. No, there's no pipe over here. I've seen all kinds of scenarios with beavers. I've seen lodges, one after another, all at separate ponds right next to each other, and they get along that way. I've seen all types of scenarios with the beavers, just from being out here in my own experience. They're very fascinating, always different, always got something else going on. They are, to an extent, social creatures to each other, sometimes. That's why they have a 60% success rate if they relocate them as a family, opposed to 40% by themselves. Because if you move just one of them and they did have a family, they'll never stop trying to find their way back, so they never build shelter and dams. And then winter comes along and they're screwed, because they never built back because they spent all summer trying to get home. Oh wow, the current really picked up just after that short walk. Almost down where the pipe is going to be showing. It really drained back. Wow, here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Got good currents coming out from the deep crevices of the swamp. It's draining quickly. Let's get back on the road though. All right, everyone, from this angle, here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Yeah, that has already receded nearly a foot off of the road. These puddles are trapped, but they'll quickly sink into the ground now that the water table is changing. You won't see a good effect today, but give it a couple days. That'll really help this road dry out. Now, are we gonna get stuck? I'm gonna try to get down that. It's really, really bad. But this water should stop flowing. Once that puddle's gone, it's no longer being fed by anything. But here's what it looked like before. You'll see a bigger difference later. And here's what it looks like now. Alrighty. Let's get prepared to maybe get stuck. Alright, four-wheel drive on. Alright, we're gonna try to do it. I'm gonna go really slowly at first, just testing how much we're sinking. I think it's worst off to go fast. Okay, feeling it. Okay, not that bad. Okay, we made it. How about the second piece? Okay, those tracks look pretty recent. Someone else recently made it through. Okay. Oh. No. Nope. Trying to get away. That edge is very soft. Let's try to get over. My track already filled. It's like quicksand. Come on. This is not something I'm gonna just go blasting through. All right, now we're going. There we go. We made it. Yep, could have got stuck if we chose the wrong path. Now, there's another notorious issue that usually happens up here. Road's really smooth now, it can go really fast. It's like being on the pavement. This road is really, really good, actually. All right, we just made it up on site of our next location. Look at this gigantic crater in the road. Every vehicle that goes through there splashes mud out, making it deeper and deeper. I don't know if you can tell, the center of that hole is nearly 2 feet deep and there's nothing in it. Beavers never built back at this location we drained back in the fall. But we're gonna try to make it through this mountain road. It's actually in much better shape than I thought. It was just really, really bad there at the start. But yeah, we have made at least a dozen videos right there at that swamp. Either it's a secondary pond they haven't yet got to, or they got relocated. But we're gonna park real quick and we're gonna go have a look. I'm gonna drive back down there. No one's using this road this time of year, so it doesn't matter if we block it. Whoever those other tracks were was just an off-road enthusiast exploring. There's no working operations going on down here at the moment. This is usually a notorious spot. I feel like they'll be back. I feel like it's just secondary and that's why they're not here quite yet. They're probably just maintaining where they live. But look at that, fully open. Got a little bit of excavator damage. Primary flow, secondary flow. During a drought, they want only one of the pipes to be working because it's less likely to get clogged that way. If both pipes are trickling, they're more likely to get clogged if there's not current going through. That's all our debris over the years, letting it blast on through. We got some more of those suds down there. I like taking a walk down there too. We always do before and afters. There's a nice area of the creek that really shows it's flooding. Nothing going on. That's really bad because last year there was huge 200,000 pound trucks blasting through that. But there's nothing scheduled this year for this road. I don't think there's a problem here. I've got out here before and have found nothing, but I just have to stop because of this. When beavers have been around, there's possibility. You see their little trail coming up and down. Because the beaver knows it's got to go up and over the road. It's not going to fight that current getting back up the stream. But this is a much larger flow. You can see someone's been trimming this to come on out here. It's probably a good fishing spot. But we have to check. Even though I don't think there's anything. Now that we know beavers are around these pipes, or one pipe, we got to keep an eye on it. I love unclogging these. Look how thick that is. Wow. The quality pipes of the past. That'll be there for generations. And you know what I was amazed to find out last year? Up north, Alaska, Yukon, they still install these amazing thick cast iron pipes. They have to. Even the regular corrugated metal pipes. Up there where the ground is moving around, especially with permafrost, it's got no chance, it's getting crushed. But these are so solid, they still have to install them. It's the only thing that'll survive those extreme winters. They are expensive though. A plastic pipe and a metal pipe are very comparable in price. Almost the same in most situations. The reason many companies get tricked into buying plastic is because the company says it lasts about 70 years. That's in perfect conditions. But you're always going to have microplastics, everything grinding through that pipe, which is not good for the environment. But the sad truth is microplastics are literally everywhere already. Most of our clothing is fake. Unless you have 100% cotton clothing or something like that, every load of laundry you're doing is discharging millions of microplastic fibers. And it doesn't matter if you have sewer or septic, it's getting released into water, groundwater, regardless. So that's the sad truth about it. But they fail. They get crushed in the winter in soft roads. They're horrible, and because they're the same price, I don't get why we even use them. Metal pipes get a sandblasting from current. It wears off the galvanization, but still they last about 30 years. If a rare situation where that doesn't happen, if it has some sort of catch basin or some sort of structure that stops silt like a dam, which also is not good for the environment, it'll last a little longer, but in most situations, metal's the way to go. For example, a 4-foot diameter pipe. If you want one that's under the road, let's say 20 feet at that diameter, you're gonna pay about 10 grand. Maybe less if you buy in bulk. That price over doubles if you want those super thick ones I just showed. But those thick ones last hundreds of years rather than 30 to 50 years. That's the difference. Twice the price for 10 times the life. Probably more than 10 times the life. Are you willing to spend twice as much on a culvert for the last generations? Most people don't think that far into the future and don't justify that price tag, but it's almost always the better option if you can afford it. Here's some of the logging operations they did last year that had to go through that section of road. Give it a couple weeks, that mud will be completely gone, no problem whatsoever. But if we encounter severe mud up here, I'm just gonna turn around. We have incentive to turn around because I wanna show a few locations now that it's been hours of draining. And we also wanna check in on a few things we messed with this morning. So I have good reason to turn around and not continue this road if it seems to be really bad. But I love that another vehicle has been down here. It's like a pilot vehicle showing me where the road is sinking. Because if you literally are the first vehicle like we sometimes are, you'll be the one to find the soft spot, meaning you're probably gonna get stuck. Like, look at this mess right here. Whoa, yeah. Yep, there's some soft spots. But who knows, maybe we'll make it through. Even if we make it through, we will backtrack it anyways. But there's really no reason to force our way through this road. There are no notorious beaver issues on this road until we get to those gigantic pipe culverts that we used to do all the time. But I haven't seen the beavers there in like 3 years now, 4 years now. They live upstream from it, but they've never messed with that in recent years. But I feel like we could confidently get to that in the other direction if we can't safely get to it this way. We got about another 20 miles before we get to that. And this road's gonna gain elevation quickly, which means more frost, colder, more mud. You see, this was all logged last year, right before winter. We'll be passing through dozens of locations like this. And eventually we're gonna get to active locations, but they'll be going out the other way. There's no trucks until June. We have a whole nother month. But they are logging and stockpiling, getting ready for those trucks, so they have tons of stuff to bring to the mills. But the mills already have tons and tons of material already built up. So they can go a month or two without receiving any lumber. I mean, any logs to make into lumber. But this year, if things keep up, the price of lumber is going to skyrocket around July. Fuel prices for diesel are now approaching $6 a gallon. We don't have the COVID shutdowns that caused the lumber mills to shut down because of no demand. So I don't expect it to be as bad as it was a few years back. But lumber prices are going to spike around the summertime because fuel prices are going up. Anything that has to be on a truck, plane, train, uses diesel fuel, so we're gonna have huge problems. I know planes don't exactly use diesel, but you get what I'm saying. Lumber is gonna go up because every machine out here uses diesel. And prices have more than doubled the past couple months. Even me coming out here, my price has doubled over the past couple months. Fuel is our biggest expense doing these inspections. We got a big crunch. I know I could drive over there more to the right, but I want to go crunch, pa-boom! Alright, now we're coming across dozens of trees that are falling over like this. Balsam fir is very weak. They fall over like crazy. In these tree farms, thousands of them go down. Every big storm. This was probably the same storm I was cleaning up the whole time. Because my property used to be a tree farm too. That was sold off and never logged. And this stuff is planted so close together it overcrowds and dies if not. Ba-boom! You gotta use more caution in areas where you see willow trees. Willow trees only survive where it's very wet. And that means there could be more frost issues that cause you to unexpectedly sink. But like I said, it's always good to have a pilot vehicle. An unintentional pilot vehicle. Someone else has been down here before us and they have basically exposed all the horrible spots. And this time of year, things are only going to get better now. We have already gone through the worst season in most cases. But compared to 2 weeks ago, there was still many roads with snow on them. This week, there's still a whole bunch that are still too muddy to pass, but it's going to get better and better. We have lots of roads that are opening up to us now. So we have tons and tons of inspections to do over the course of May. Okay. We have another mud hole. See, another vehicle made it through. I don't like it. I don't like it. Go, 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 go. Alright, that wasn't that bad. It had a bottom, but you never know. Some of those don't have a bottom. And if you bottom out, you're done. Doesn't matter how aggressive your tires are. Doesn't matter how lifted you are. If you bottom out, you're done. You gotta winch out. I don't like the looks of this. It's getting soft up here as we gain elevation. The frost is gonna get worse and worse. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing patches of snow. Look at that, the road's flooded up there. It is time to investigate. Is there a clogged culvert here? That's what I'm looking for. Willing to bet, yeah. I don't know why I'm pulling over. It's unlikely anyone else is gonna come out here. But we're gonna pull over just in case. Shut the truck off because it's gonna take a minute to investigate. We gotta get our blue ribbons out. Okay, behind my truck, I do see a pipe. It's just not deep enough in the ground. It's flowing a little bit. See the garbage metal pipe? No problem letting it rust back into the environment. Iron is natural, and it's just got a thin zinc coating. Mostly gone, though. Not gonna harm the environment like the plastic one will, as it biodegrades. Yeah, it's fine. It got lifted up a little bit by frost. I don't think it was installed that way. But it's basically useless because most of the water is going downstream. You could tell it's always flooded because of these willow trees. That culvert really should be corrected. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen those documentaries. Someday in our lifetime, plumbing might be in trouble. Look at this. Trying to see if it moves. Yep. That pulse means right here's probably a coupling that failed. Look at that pipe. It's flowing a little bit, but it's not blocked. It's collapsed. It's an aged metal one. It's probably super old. Yep. At first I was like, did the grader push it in? Nope, that's actually pretty open. It's collapsed, so that's gonna need some blue ribbons. That's an easy fix, actually. This water could easily be rerouted. That ditch should be dug out. Those trees are fairly easy to rip out with heavy equipment. The road here is very rocky, so I'm not afraid to pass through this. You see, if this ditch was dug out, there'd be a better situation. By design, if it gets clogged, it's supposed to just be able to keep jumping to the next pipe until it finds a way through. Because that ditch isn't dug out, the ditch isn't even there, so it's eroding the edge of the road. And now it's crossing up here because the ditch is just not available. I see another culvert. I think this one's flowing. No problem. See, there's no flood down there. This is just all the water because the ditch isn't working. But the pipe looks okay. I don't like the angle it's coming out. It definitely has a slight kink to it, but it's working. That water is actually amazingly crystal clear. It won't be after we drive through it. Yeah, we're doing good. Not bad. All right, we got some ribbons to hang up. Maybe I spoke too soon. See, as I'm walking, see all those bubbles coming up? It means there's hollow spots under the road. It's definitely still frozen. Beautiful, peaceful songbirds out here. So quiet. I always put a long piece of ribbon. Remember, these trees are going to grow leaves before they fix this stuff, and you want it to be visible. I also mark that where the ditch has become way too overdone with debris, and that needs to be properly dug out. That's why I flag that, because these problems will not be apparent. Give it another month or a couple weeks, because once this ground is no longer frozen, it's likely porous enough that all this is going to sink into the ground and you'll never know there was a problem here. And over here, I marked it as both hazard because there's a hole in the road and as a water problem. Alrighty. The sun is getting strong. Summer is definitely coming. It's like a greenhouse in here. I'm having to run the AC. That's a nice day. I'm gonna put the windows down instead. Listen to all that nice splashing. I like hearing that. Alright, this is bad. Really bad. At least we have a dry section apparently between these two frost heaves. So this is one of those areas that probably started off as one of those major cracks. We gotta try to get through this. Just trying to figure out what route I should take. Ooh, yep, we bottomed out, but we made it. Alright, how about this one? I don't like this one. This one's even worse. I want to reposition how I go through there. I want to try to ride on the high part, but I think we're going to get stuck. This is one I will gun it because it's such a short distance. Alright, that had a bottom. I expected to go much deeper. I don't like that first one though. Felt like a rock hit my ball joint or something. It hit something up there. I didn't like that. Lots of moose tracks. There's gonna be more and more of this stuff as we come out. And remember, we either have to make it through or we have to go through every one of these problems again. I'm thinking we're gonna make it through now that we've already got this far. We've got to be almost to where they're currently logging. And you got to be careful where they're currently logging. The big trucks are not on the road yet. But you do have to be cautious that there could be another vehicle. Probably not, because they're already there and working. They're not going to get off for quite a while. But during logging season, when they actually have the trucks going, you need to have a CB radio, and you need to be aware. Even if these roads are not marked, no matter what, it is your fault. There are signs posted for a reason. Tuned to so-and-so CB radio channel. If you're in a car and you don't, and you get hit by a giant truck, It is 100% your fault. These are private roads at your own risk. Remember that if you're out in the wilderness exploring. You need to be on the main arteries, which are super wide and super visible, or you need a CB radio. Those are the rules. These giant trucks have huge metal bars, sometimes double or triple frame rail. It's going to win no matter what. And if you're going the wrong way, which you can easily go the wrong way, these roads are not marked as one way, but they're often being used as one way by heavy speeding trucks. You don't want to meet up with that around a corner. Just as a warning. When you're going up some of these roads, in case you're going the wrong way, if they hear you, they will quickly correct you. You want to report mile marker so-and-so in whatever direction you're going. So for example, mile post 8 westbound, and you want to say the name of the road too. And if they hear that and you're oncoming, they're going to say something. They should if they hear you. So you got to be careful on these roads. I try to avoid those one-way roads altogether at time of year. If they're logging down it, I just avoid it. Because what I'm looking for has probably already been addressed. That's why we do these inspections this time of year. You don't have to worry about that. You're not having to constantly be on the CB radio. If we were doing these inspections in the summer months, we'd have to constantly be on that radio, and I personally just don't like doing that. It's not an efficient time of year to be doing what we're doing, and it's just a bigger pain in the butt. That time of year, we're only called out to areas where it's actually very badly flooding. And what I mean by called out, I don't get paid to unclog anything. I'm just inspecting. I do that for fun while also doing it. But I have had many park rangers telling me, hey, you should go check out this flood on so-and-so road. Yeah, I'll go do it, because that's fun. Another great example of why we have to inspect this time of year. See the water crossing? Look at that huge erosion mark. This is likely going to stop flowing as soon as mud season's done. And you would never know that there's a problem there. So that's why we got to quickly stop and mark it. It looks like they've already marked the culvert pipe, but I want to mark where it's crossing because if they grade that, they could permanently hide the evidence so it doesn't get fixed. Okay, we're done. Yeah, I think we're gonna make it through this road. I hear some rattling going on. I think we got some pebbles stuck in the brake guard. No big deal, I've heard this noise before. Those ribbons aren't for me, but somebody marked this very soft area that you want to be aware of, which makes me think we might be getting close to active logging, because we've just connected to a whole different road. Wow, look at that erosion. And in the middle of the road, that's a crack. Think of frost heaves like the plates in the earth moving around. The edge of the road slid on top of frost. That's what the crack in the middle is, but to the left, that's a lot of flowing water that was there when the snow was melting last week. When I ride roads like this that are super rough nonstop, it's a good idea to have your vehicle inspected more than required. I basically have my mechanic do loose nut bolt inspections all the time. Things that I wouldn't even be able to notice without a lift. Where it's up there and you're able to grab on things and pull on them. Because sometimes there's something going on you wouldn't even imagine. Like driving through mud holes like that, it will pull cotter pins out of your suspension. I got called back by my mechanic into his shop and he showed me, look at this wheel. And it had over an inch of play at rocking back and forth. And I was like, what's that? Is that the ball joint? And he was like, no. I wouldn't even drive this out of the parking lot like this. And he showed me it's just a simple cotter pin that got somehow forced out. Probably driving through deep mud. Here's another big issue. Whoa, there is a culvert pipe there. We gotta mark it. I thought the ditch just needed to be dug a little bit, but nope. That needs a ribbon. There's no trees either, so we gotta be creative. Gotta be creative here. No trees. How are we gonna mark this culvert that's clearly buried? I don't even see it. But this ditch wouldn't be here for any other reason. There's gotta be a buried pipe here, just completely shoved in. I do not like that at all, but there's nothing else I can attach it to that's gonna be visible when these leaves and grass start growing again. Got some nice flowers. Can't wait until lupine season. Oh yeah, we made it all the way through the mountain pass. No blockage, but this used to be notorious for beavers. Some of the best uncloggings we ever did. Huge dams inside those 8-foot diameter pipes. This whole area used to flood because of those beavers. This is where we got chased by the angry beaver while figuring out where the lodge was. Even though there's no beavers as designed, you can tell this was flooding probably last week when the snow was melting combined with the very, very heavy rain. That's why it's so rocky. It's designed to flood here. Rather than it washing out the culverts, they always try to leave a very low part in the road where the flood can go across. And it worked just as designed. Now we're gonna go up a little bit and get on a different road. I wanna show you the pipe that's upstream from that, which beavers have been messing with as recently as last fall. We're gonna see if they're still active. Hey, we're already there. So we're gonna take this intersection here, go up this way. And this clearing is about 3 years old. They're not replanting this area because it's better for the environment if they don't replant, because biodiversity will take over instead of every tree being exactly the same. It is more difficult to log that, but it's more resilient to pests and fires. This section of the road looks like it was underwater. Most certainly, I see erosion. That pipe really got overwhelmed. It's not blocked at all, it just got severely overwhelmed in the flooding last week. But we literally couldn't have come up here during the flooding because you see how bad the roads are now after a few days of drying out in the sun. You would have got severely stuck multiple times if you tried to come out here earlier in the week. You see all these little mud holes like we're going over right now would have been so much worse last week. Everyone, we're pulling up on scene. This is where the beavers usually severely mess with this pipe. Nothing, it's completely drained back. Zero evidence of the beavers. They must have got relocated. This road is always flooded, but by design. It's designed to flood here in case of beavers or floods. Yep, it looks like they took care of that problem. Look at this. We're fine, we just gotta stay over here. What do we got going on here? That drainage ditch is fine and ready to work. The problem is there's like a little bit of curb that has to be removed by the grader so it can get to the ditch. This time of year there is always moose poop, always moose tracks all over the road. I'd say May is the best time to see them. They're very active when it first starts getting nice and warm like this. I got out at this culvert pipe because there's not a lot of flow. But you gotta wonder, why is it going in so slow? There's gotta be a blockage. I see a blockage. Yes, I do. Whoa, that's deep. Look at that. It looks really easy. All it takes is a few sticks to cross it, and you got a blockage. Let's go get camera number 2 out. All right, everyone, camera number 2 is going. Now I have absolute proof for you right here that this culvert is a problem. Look at all that erosion right there. Look at all these rocks down here. Water is going over this road, partially because of that blockage. Partially because I don't think with that much erosion evidence that this pipe would be able to handle it all. I think it's under capacity. But still, you'd be surprised how much water gets held back by what we have here. This is gonna drain very, very quickly. Alrighty, it's gonna be quick. All right, that's got some silt to erode, but it looks like we got it. It's flowing good now. Amazing. Here's what it looked like before we did anything. And here's what it looks like now. Incredible difference. That drained very, very fast. There's a whole ton, endless supply of sticks and logs to get stuck in there the next storm. But hopefully it's stuck up enough where it won't come down here. Everything we just removed is pretty old and rotten. You see all the erosion right here, all the silt that has been built up is now draining. So that's why it's still running very, very dirty on camera number 2. Look at all that erosion of little wood chips. They cannot log within 50 to 75 feet of a small stream like this. So you will typically see larger trees in here. Not old growth, because they didn't have those rules back when it was originally logged. Look at this dirty pool. Very dirty, but that'll clear up quickly. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. I can't wait to see that in time lapse and see its maximum flow. Give it 10 minutes, that'll clear up, that'll erode that silt very quickly. This is a very mountainous area of northwestern Maine. Only 800 residents live in this whole quarter of the state. It's mostly owned by commercial logging companies. But because it's more mountainous and hills, you won't find many beavers here. The elevation gains too quickly. If they were to build dams, they'd have to be very big dams for a small pond, and they just won't typically live in these areas. They want to live in flatter areas so they can have big ponds with small dams. Easier to build, makes sense. I get asked all the time, how are the ticks up north? We never see ticks up north here. Never. Because we have their natural predators. You always see families of turkeys and grouse birds walking around. And they see those ticks out on the edges of branches, ready to latch on to something. So there's never ticks. I traipse through bushes all the time. Never see ticks out here. Used to see them in my yard all the time. Started feeding the wild turkeys. Never again. The areas that have a lot of ticks are because humans have destroyed the balance of nature. Getting rid of those birds, putting insecticides down so those birds don't have adequate food, so they're just not around to eat that stuff anymore. That's the major problem. In the middle of nowhere, you're not going to have them if the environment is healthy. Ticks are usually because the balance of nature is bad. We never see ticks out here. Never. Not a problem. I can tell right here last week, lots of water was going across. No suspected problem though. I just want to show you guys something awesome down here in the woods. We haven't seen it in a couple years, but before these bushes start growing in, while it's easy to get to, I want to take a look. I love when I make videos of these things, there's always someone who's able to tell me exactly what it is. There's some people that are just so good at identifying vehicles in the comments, and I appreciate that. We had some awesome blockages here in the past. Not today, though. I've had beavers flood this. It clearly was flooding at some point recently to do that to the road, but no problem. That's expected during the spring thaw. The grader comes through and fixes everything before the trucks are active again. The graders are already doing some of the roads that are drier at lower elevations. They'll be up here soon, so that's nice. Some of the roads are miserable to drive right now. The potholes are one after another. Deep in the woods, not as much, because not many people will come out this far. And driving roads is what causes potholes. But look at this. A couple years ago, this was in the water when the beavers flooded it. Look at this old dually pickup truck. Thing's got to be about 100 years old. I had to come out and see it again. Look at the trees growing right through it. That is fascinating. I love to see stuff like this. Yep, this was right in the beaver pond. Someone's had target practice with it. This area even has a bunch more cars somewhere. Yeah, that's not gonna move. Is this an old fan blade? I think that's a heater. It looks like somebody set fire to it, or there was a forest fire. This truck's old enough it had wooden components. There's a few cars I know of in the woods that have wooden spokes. They built stuff good with good preservatives back in the day for those spokes to still be there. Look at that. What do we got underneath it? You think we can open the hood? Maybe. Pretty cool. If I can get this tree out of the way, maybe. I think we can open that. I'll be right back, everyone. I'm gonna see if I have a handsaw, because that's the only way I think we're gonna get this open. See that? This tree is indeed alive, but I'm able to just break it. That's why beavers love this willow tree. Very soft, they can cut it down very quick, and it's very delicious bark. If they ever need to actually dull their teeth down, which they have to because their teeth never stop growing, they will chew on hardwoods if they have to. But now maybe we can get it open. Okay, it's still not opening. There we go, there we go. Oh, the hood even stays up. Would you look at that? That's so cool. Some of the hoses are in better shape than I would have thought. I can't believe there's not a single beehive in here. Look at that. Oh, never mind, that's cracking. Yeah, that's cracking right in my hands. Still better shape than I thought it would have been. Look how simple this engine bay is. I know a lot of stuff's missing, but still. You can see the slots where the radiator would have been. There's even a old motor oil can. Sure, you're seized up. Definitely, because you've been underwater. And it's got lots of openings. Maybe someone can tell me the engine. I have looked at newer cars that had worse engine mounts. Those aren't even barely dry rotted. Not bad, I like it. You heard that? The springs still work perfectly on that. Sounded like, oh, it's a Ford. It says Ford. Oh, there it is. I knew I could hear a spring, but I didn't see one, so it's missing one. It's pretty neat. I wish I had something like this in my woods. Love it. I'm not going to look for them, but I have gone up in this clearing, up and over the hill. You can't see it from the road, but there's a couple more cars. But the loggers had fun with them, rolling them and crushing them with machines. Not worth going to see. But I like seeing old cars like that. Not newer ones with all the plastic garbage, but that stuff's cool. It's one of those areas. See the big crack in the middle of the road? you still have active frost moving around. Could become bad as it continues to melt, especially combined with rain. We're expecting some, maybe even thunderstorms later on today. It does feel pretty warm out. Look what we have here. Got water crossing over. We have a plastic culvert not working. It is pretty deep. Do you think it's crushed? Or do you think it's silted up? Kind of dirty over here to really tell. Very, very soft. We gotta flag it. The ground might still be frozen and we might be able to see it in a couple of weeks, but I need to flag it now because we might not be able to realize what a problem it is in a couple of weeks. We'll have to re-inspect in 2 weeks. That's why we keep doing this in rounds. You get to see different things at different parts of the spring. That's why we travel these every 2 weeks, always changing. This issue was not here 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was. This road was completely unpassable 2 weeks ago. Forget that, we haven't been on this one yet this year. It's getting windy. We are supposed to be stormy. Here's a bad one. We have, see the frost cracks? It's slipping a little bit, and it's severely eroded up here. Look at that. Bad. How's the pipe doing? Let's get out real quick and look. We got moose tracks. Yeah, that pipe's not flowing. It's not blocked there, it's collapsed. We got blue up at that one too. It's been crossing, absolutely, look at that. Along with the frost cracks. Look at how rusted out that one was. A little bit of water's getting through, but that's got to be collapsed, because if a little bit of water's getting through, it would quickly erode that ice. I've showed that before. In a matter of minutes, if you can get a little tiny flow, it erodes the whole thing. Yeah, today with all these rough roads, we definitely have some rocks in the brake guards. I keep hearing these screeches, and we're not even touching anything. Look at this frost crack. Usually the ones right in the center are not too big of an issue, but when it's on the edge and you can tell it's slipping or sunken, if the plates are at different heights, usually you have a bigger problem, like right here. I would not want to drive right here, over on that edge. You see how it's sinking? It's probably very, very wet, and you could easily get stuck there. So this is exactly why you do not want to go over onto that. It can collapse, and that collapsed multiple feet down. Choose wisely. Alrighty, we're stopping at another place. Did the beavers clog it? Can we see anything? I hear water flowing. I think the beavers got it because it was flowing better 2 weeks back. Can we see anything? Looks like a blockage. Let's see real quick before we get out camera 2. Imagine if we could just get it right now. It is a smooth pipe, but who knows what it could be on. There's gotta be a reason. I've avoided this one before, I just don't remember. Wish I could see in there better. I think this area's got muskrats or beavers. It's got to have something. I don't see evidence of them, but this was not here this badly a couple weeks ago. I remember now. I remember why we flagged this now. I'm going to put my ribbon back up. Even though it's a smooth pipe, the blockage is like 10 feet thick. The chance of me getting that to start sliding, even though it's in a smooth pipe, is very low. We thought the beavers were gone. Wow. Wow, we really did drain this. It's been about 4 hours now returning, and the road even dried out in the sun. This was completely flooded before. Wow. That drained back a lot. You can even see the wet mark of where the water was before. And here's what it looks like now. Let's see what we actually did down here in the pipe. How much did we actually get it open earlier? And what's the problem that so we were here with the rake shoving. Let's see what we can pull out right now. Okay, that's in there really good. Anything we do is preventative maintenance, getting it away from this road. But you see the rate it's flowing? They could easily have this flooded in a day, overnight. And I almost guarantee you, if the beaver comes down here, this road will be flooded again tomorrow morning. So, is it worth the back-breaking work of getting this absolutely perfect? No. Not until they're relocated. Like sometimes the water's coming in so little, when we do this it'll take them weeks to get it back up there. But this situation, they've got the water, and there's plenty of rainy days on the way. But when we started, this whole pipe was underwater, so we drained back multiple feet. Now this is not blocked as much as it may look. This is not a round pipe. This is a factory oval pipe for areas with shallow bedrock. Oh my gosh. It's so hard to pull out some of these because look, there's gravel mixed into it. We're not just fighting mud, we're fighting a lot of gravel in here. Yeah, some of these are just not coming out. I feel a big log in there. Yep. I'm gonna get the tripod, get the rake, and try to clean this up a little better. They're preparing more trees. They'll have this clogged up. Well, we yet again made it better, but any effort right now at this point is pointless. It's off the road, but they will definitely have this blocked up again by morning. Potentially the road even flooded again. So yeah, we drained this back over 2 feet. Nearly 3 feet now with this modification it'll get down to. The problem is I can't get it to break loose because this blockage goes in like 8 feet. I'm trying to get the edges down. I'm trying to erode it, hoping the entire thing will eventually slip. I'm actually still wanting it to slip, so maybe I'll go a couple more minutes. I would love to get it to slip. I'll try a little more. Let's try to hit the bottom. We're not far. Something's still anchoring it. Most likely anchored to the outside. If we can get that, maybe we can get it to slip. I don't know though, 8 feet of dam on that corrugation. Maybe, maybe not. If it'll float, then we have an advantage, but if it's old enough that it's waterlogged, we don't. I'd like to think the dam is pretty loose. It is. We eroded most of its mud structure. That's why it's flowing through so easily right now. This is all very recent. Remember, this dam was not here 2 weeks ago. And I have it on camera 2 weeks ago. A lot of gravel. This pipe's just not big enough to get in there. And there's nothing to push against. It's just a big pile of sticks with a lot of give. If we had another giant flow after a storm, it would get pushed out. But likely by the time that happens, the beavers are going to reinforce this. Wait. It actually just gave. It actually just gave out. I think. Something just changed. It just started flowing a whole lot better. Is it moving? Is that moving? I can't tell. But you see the water before and after the obstruction is the same. It's got no sails. Usually when you have an issue like this, we try to send through debris deliberately to build against it and push like a sail. We don't have anything. And if the beavers get to this first, they'll reinforce that. Hey, we got some ferns coming up. I don't see anything we can use except putting more sticks in there, and that could be counteractive if we can't get it. But regardless, they need to shove a battering ram through here to get that cleared up. If we could keep the beaver away until today's expected thunderstorms, then that would likely wash out. But there's nothing convenient that I can shove in there to act like a sail. Nothing easy to gather anyways. Let's see. One more try. I'm gonna grab a very long stick that's longer than the rake. And maybe that'll give us what we need. Maybe, is this good enough? Yeah, this log right here that the beavers just cut down. has got to be, what, 12 feet? Look at that. We'll give that a try. Let's try this again. Try to improve it a little more before we head on out. Yep, we did it. The whole thing's moving. Question is the dam gonna make it out? See, the dam's moving in there. Oh, still moving. I don't know if you can tell depth. It's in the last third. Let's go try to beat it. Come on out, dam, there we are. Here it comes. Some of it anyways. Here comes more. Where's our big stick? When that big stick comes, it means we're done, if it made it through. I see the big stick in there. Come on out. We don't have that much current. Beavers have been a problem here for a while. I see years and years of different shades of ribbons. So, yeah, we got it open 100%. Minus a few small things in there. Oh, we got a little more to come out. A little more. Here's more junk. Our log is so close. Come on out. Come on out. Is it moving at all? Gotta make some waves. There's just so little current, I gotta interrupt its grip. Nah, it's stuck on some junk at the bottom. Beavers have so much junk in here. I'm gonna get the rake and try to clear this up a little bit. The only way we're gonna get some flow going. I'm amazed with how much we got going already. But we got that thing as open as possible. So I'm happy we came back and did that. All right, let's see if I'm right. If I create some flow by removing that, the rest of the debris should come out. There's our stick. Just in case we need it again, I'm gonna keep it at this location, right up here on the side. Now we're 100% debris free. Entire pipe is wide open. Let me show you. We're completely wide open now, flowing nice. Beavers are gonna be very angry when they discover this. It won't take them long either to figure this one out, unfortunately. But wow, here's what the whole area looked like before we did anything. And here's what it looks like now. They had this whole area flooding this morning. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. I just want to get a quick glimpse of that other pipe that's completely blocked. It won't make a difference. I don't think we really affected the water up here too much. Although I do still see that bathtub ring coming all the way up here. I will collect garbage I find, but after an incident, we do not pick up beer bottles anymore. I don't need some prick trying to say I'm drinking and driving out here. If you didn't hear, I had an officer try to accuse me of smoking marijuana because he saw a small glass jar that he thought was a pipe. It was numbing jelly for teeth. So we don't pick up any incriminating trash. Nope, doesn't even matter if I have it on camera. I'm not gonna risk losing my license for that. Look at that. That's a beautiful rock. When it's wet, it'll look even better if we can shine that up at home without it tumbling apart. Right as we're packing up, it started raining. So we gotta be careful where we drive. That could trap us somewhere if the roads turn really bad. This road won't. This is a main artery, but some of the ones that I want to do updates of, we gotta be careful. Yeah, that'll be back on the ground in a matter of hours, I think. Usually I would use metal zip ties and put it onto a tree, but I don't see a single tree that's not going to be overgrown without substantial trimming in the next couple weeks. I don't know, that ground's pretty soft, so I think it's going to fall right back over. The only proper way to do that is unbolt the breakaway, use a sledgehammer to force it really deep, and then rebolt it. Alright, let's see how we did. The speed limit on this road is 45 and conditions are good enough to do that. I hit this severe frost heave. I don't think it's a frost heave anymore in this area. I think it's a giant rock that got shoved up and you can't see it until you're up on it. Yeah. Whoa, that's a bad one. That needed to be marked, absolutely. Because that will not go away on its own. That rock has to be dug out or buried deeper. Won't go away by itself. Time to inspect. We have not been to this location in 2 weeks. We flagged it. This is an older metal one, most likely has dissolved in the ground and collapsed. We were over here with the fireman's axe, busting open frozen mud. And by the looks of it, beavers are definitely still here. I saw no evidence of them last time. I still see no evidence of them. I see that, but that was chewed last year. I think we'll be able to easily get that back open. Yep, so there's definitely a beaver problem here. They don't get relocated until June, but today I have already seen the beaver hunter, because if the government can't get to them in time before, it's gonna rain a lot this week. Before it takes this road out, they gotta take the beaver out. It does buy the beaver time though if we keep doing this. All right, we're gonna get camera number 2 and the rake out. All right, everyone, camera number 2 is going. Then we'll move it down to the other pipe and we'll give that a shot. Who knows, we might get it open. But I have no idea how thick that dam is. If it's weak, we could potentially push it through. If not, we'll improve the situation right here. But the beaver, they just shoved whatever mud they had up. They didn't even really do much. Who knows, it could have been the muskrat reusing stuff. All right, we certainly don't have to worry about running out of water pressure for the second pipe. This has to drain like 12 acres of land. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. That is a ton of flow. That had to have been the easiest one for the amount of water of the day. Let's see what's going on over here on the other side. Look at all that water. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. That is flowing really, really good. We gotta get this water out of here. Thunderstorms tonight. Heavy, heavy rain. Could send this road underwater if we don't get this drained back. And I hear some tree frogs out there. Alrighty, everyone, camera number 2 is going. We'll give it a try. I have no idea what to expect. Still got a good amount of water. You're not gonna notice a decrease here for a long time. This is huge flood, way, way back into there. It's gonna be a long time. Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and it'll just push. I doubt it. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But at least it's not clogged. This pipe can likely be reopened by shoving a log through there with an excavator. I didn't look hard enough. Yeah, that culvert is toast. That beaver dam is definitely stuck onto that. Whole bottom of the pipe's gone. Yeah, that's definitely an older one. So, I guess my experience was right. With the amount of rust on a part of the pipe that doesn't touch the abrasion, it was that bad, so yeah. Original analysis from 2 weeks ago was right. It's collapsed. No matter how little it was, the beavers heard something and that's why they ended up blocking it. But at least we got that going good. All right, everyone, we're back about 6 hours later. It took about 4 hours to loop around. That is a gigantic loop. It's about 80 miles, that loop we just did. So this road is drying out a bit more. I do suspect it's possibly frozen there, so it's gonna be a little bit. The puddle's still here. Very packed road surface. That's gonna have to evaporate. But the water hasn't crossed in a long time. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Big improvement. And up here, the frog cycle's behind. I can hear in the middle of the woods a whole bunch of wood frogs mating. I can hear it somewhere. My area, that happened weeks ago. But up here's a whole different climate zone. Ground is still frozen. Wow, look at the difference. Here's what it looked like before. And here's what it looks like now. Trying to pinpoint where those frogs are. I don't know how difficult that'd be. I might go look for them. The water has completely drawn down now. Check it out. Here's what it looked like above the pipe before. And here's what it looks like now. That did do a lot. But wow, it looks like we could dig down a little bit more too. Look at all that slop. If we dig down a little trench, we can get it to go a little more. That's why I like to return to these areas and do some touch-ups. See how much more we can get it going just by doing that. And if we concentrate the water into a little canal like that, it'll be flowing much heavier and maybe even help itself erode. Look at all that muck. So much muck. It was barely flowing when I just drove by. Well, we're getting more out. There we go. That should clear up pretty quickly. It'll drop it down even further. I like to see that. It was running clean until I just did that. Not nearly as much as was flowing out of here before. The dirty water mixing in with the clean. About to start running clean again. That's mixed with a lot of water grass roots. So that's going to green up very quickly. That's why it's having trouble eroding. It's this. water grass roots. It's gonna really start clogging that up again. When that starts growing, this whole area is gonna be beautiful and green in a couple weeks. Just gotta clean off my boots. It was raining earlier for a little brief moment, but it stopped. Frogs are in here somewhere. They're quiet because they hear me. So there'll probably be a bunch of tadpoles over in these puddles. Wood frogs develop very quickly if they're in warm puddles, but hopefully it doesn't dry up. Look at all the ferns coming up out of here. Those little spirals that are gonna reach out. I'm looking for frog eggs. It's pretty deep back here, so it probably won't dry up. I believe they were right here in this pool. Wow, there's a lot of pollen I'm shaking out of these trees. Yeah, this is pretty deep. Hey, this whole thing's floating. We're gonna take a look out here a bit. Oh, this whole thing just sunk now that I'm out on it. I do see some eggs over here, but that's not from the type of frog I just heard. That mass right there, that's salamander eggs. I've got a lot of them too. I don't know how deep this is gonna be. And our next week out here could be bad for mosquitoes. I do see mosquito larvae in here right now. Absolutely everywhere. Squirming around. See it? Right there in the middle of the screen. That's mosquito larvae. Cool, a couple of them. I only got bit by one so far, and it was weeks ago. There are still, thankfully, many deep freezes in the forecast, which are gonna stop them for the time being. Just looking around, I don't see any frog eggs over here, but maybe. Ooh, we got moose poop. Over here, there's a much larger body of water. You can't hear the frogs anymore, they're quiet because they hear me searching for them. And I'm sure when I approach them, they'll dive under and you'll never even see them. You'll just see their eggs potentially. This area is always wet. There's water grass everywhere, so they've got a good chance. But I can tell by how it's growing, it does get, most of this water is going to be gone at some point. Wow. Thousands of mosquito larvae in here. Tadpoles are a good thing. They are carnivorous, and they will eat mosquito larvae if you didn't know that. Okay, this area is much deeper. But I don't see the frogs. They definitely hid now that I'm out here searching for them. And I'll probably hear them again as soon as I get out of here. Natural swamp oils. No, I didn't see any frogs. Nothing. They're not as friendly as the ones that are used to me at my house. That's probably why. The ones at my house are used to me and they don't hide when I approach. Let's see if I can show you some pollen when I shake it out of these trees. The willow trees have a lot of pollen, it seems. At least I shook the right one earlier and made a big poof. Who wants to go on another wild goose chase? I hear more frogs over here now, in a totally different direction. They're probably going to be quiet when I get down there, but listen carefully. That's mating wood frogs. Just me traipsing through the woods is probably enough to make them be quiet. Nope, I'm still hearing them. We got iron oxidizing bacteria. Lots of it, actually. There's quite a bit of water down here. I see some eggs. Those are not from the wood frogs. They're also not from the salamander. I don't know what that is. You know what I would like to see? I'm not even sure what they look like. Toad eggs. I've never came across that, or I just don't know what it looks like. The water's being deep and they're quiet now. They usually lay their eggs in more shallow areas attached to branches. They anchor it. Oh, I see some more eggs. They're like Orbeez. They start off as those tiny little masses on the bottom and they swell up when it comes out of the frog. That might be salamanders, but that's a pretty big mass. The frogs are quiet now. Hey, look at this. This part of the road has some good snowbanks because they're in a very shaded part of the forest. And I'm surprised, this is the first time of the week I've seen it. That's not a snowbank, there's still some snowpack out there in this darker section, and it's the second week of May. You know, I've even found snow in June, but it's hard to find. You have to know where to look in the darkest crevices of the woods. Yep, there's still snowpack in this area. That's cool to see. So that means this part of the road still probably has ice under it. So it could be problematic. I can tell this entire part of the road was underwater in the recent spring thaw. Very eroded. Yeah, the amount of debris coming out of that. So out here in the tree farm, this is why so many people who aren't prepared for these roads complain about flat tires. They use what they have. Look at this quarry they're digging out. This is what they're putting on the roads. That's why you get flat tires. Look at that. Very, very sharp shale rock. That is what is put down on the roads. Eventually, heavy trucks crush it up where it's not really noticeable. But at first, you'll get that through your tires. I got one through my softer winter snow tires about a month back. But the tires I typically run are hard like machine tires, so that doesn't happen anymore. But right here they've been doing a lot of rearranging the road, making it more efficient. Even the private roads will do this. So that's the old road to the right, which is going to be abandoned. Or maybe people will keep it open as a pullover lane. But straighter roads are safer because you can see more stuff. You can go faster. They're built a little bit better. This still has to be fixed a little bit. It's brand new, so it did settle a little bit over the winter. You see the old road reconnecting, and the old road left again. The new road is down here instead of going up there. So now we're really far away. Look at this. Brand new road. Very straight. Can't even see the other road anymore. Brand new main artery. This will be opened again to truck traffic next month in June. Look at these trees, they're like toothpicks that are growing. On average, they're cut down every 40 years before replanted. This is pulpwood. I don't see any way they're getting lumber out of that. And we have an open area here. Are we gonna see the old road reconnecting, or is that not gonna happen right now? Here we go. Here's the reconnection. So yeah, they made it a lot straighter. And we're out back to a different road. I know where we are. We will not be taking that road back. Looks like this road's already solid enough. They got a fuel truck out here. Or that could have been parked there since... Yeah, I remember now. That was parked there a few weeks ago since the roads were frozen. That's how they fuel the heavy equipment. This section of the road is actually really beautiful. Really dark storm clouds, and you have the tint of red on all the trees from the buds about to open. I just saw a baby bear run across the road. I backed up, but it ran away before I could get it on camera. In the evening, we should start to see moose unless it starts raining. Look at what we're driving over. Water was crossing there. This road got really bad since we took it 2 weeks ago. The amount of potholes that popped up is insane. At least it's built very rocky. And I hope it pours. I want to see all these erosion marks start raging with water. This has been one of the worst roads I've been on in a while, and I think I'm gonna film the whole ride back on this. In a different video though. There's just some areas that I'm afraid of going back through if it starts raining very heavily, so I think we're gonna call it a day on this road. I'm just trying to get to a major river crossing, which I'm sure the bridge has got to be abandoned, because this has not been a major artery in a while, but who knows? Wow, we have not been out in a major rainstorm like this in years. Out on the dirt roads. Hopefully we don't run into trouble. Who knows? We might have to stay out here for a day. If these waterways rage, we might get stuck out here for a day. These roads are already pretty bad. It's mud season. But we are expecting thunderstorms with quick downpours, so I don't expect it to be too long. But there's no service out in these areas to really check anything like radar. It's still pouring a lot, and we got to think about this. I had one of the loggers coming back just tell me it gets a little bad up there. There's a lot of trees down that you can get around, but they're in the road. Wasn't worried about that, but I am worried about this. That's sunken because it's washing out under here. It was at some point anyways. I don't see anything right now. And if it held these other guys' trucks, just worried about this opening up into something we can't get through. There are other ways out of here, but we'd have to go through Quebec. That's the only way back out of here. I think we're fine. All right, let's do this. At least on the way back, if we have to use the winch, we'll be pulling ourselves in the correct direction. We didn't bottom out, nothing. We're okay. Wonder where they're logging up in this area. We're gonna find out. I'm not too familiar with these roads, but I've been up here a few times. The roads are too soft to pull over super far, but look at this mangled car. This is like the ones I described earlier. The logging equipment throws it around. Check that out. Those are some really knobby tires on there. The old awesome glass headlights that'll never fade in the sun. Is it too mangled, or can someone identify that? We got a tight space. You can tell others been driving through here. We just have to let it scrape a little bit. Those branches are more like a brush than anything else. It's the dead branches that scratch you badly. Okay. Is getting a bit soupy. Looks like a spot to get stuck. There's not many good options to put the winch on. I'm going through this slowly, keeping two of the good wheels not in this. Okay, we're making it. We're fine. Because those willow trees, those are not strong. I'll probably rip that out. Even if we put it at the base. If it was a maple tree, even that size, it would pull you out. But yet, these are getting very soupy, and they're not going to get any better today. Wow. I wonder if we'll make it through. Look at that, everyone. There's a moose up there, right at one of the biggest bridges in the wilderness. Zoomed in 25 times. He's gonna start running. I don't know how close we're gonna get. 5 times zoom, and it's gone. It's running. It's now into the evening, so we are gonna start seeing a lot of moose. Is this the biggest bridge? I feel like it is. Yeah. We're so high up. The sun looks awesome. We'll get out for a minute and take a look. We're gonna turn around here. If we keep on going, we'll be in Quebec in like 20 minutes. There's a border patrol pickup truck hiding on the other side in the bushes. Go take a look. There's a ton of visibility in each direction, so we don't have to worry about getting caught out there. The biggest bridge in the wilderness. The last time I walked out on this, which was like 2 years ago, there was a moose walking down the edge. It's a very big bridge. The St. John's River. This is where we saw that moose. You can see the grass pushed over. It was flooding a bit more at some point. Look at the shale rock all rounded down and smooth. Would not want to encounter a double wide log truck while out here. See it all worn down from tire chains. No wildlife walking around today. We're so far out of the middle of nowhere, I'm sure these moose do go across this. Much easier than swimming. Hey, there's access over there. I didn't notice that. Looks like you can drive down there. Time to go across. I like how it bumps up like that. So how do you get down there? There's the little road. Probably be a good place for swimming. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see, but there's a border truck hiding in there. We've got a lot of water going across the road. And they've got the pipe marked. Is it collapsed or just blocked? We got more moose tracks. Considering I can see the end of it, it's an internal problem. What do we got going on? They're using rocks to fill a collapsed pipe. We just had to come back again in the middle of the night to this location. And of course, absolutely, the beavers are back on scene. What do we have? Look at all these sticks. Look at all that. They're very likely by morning to have this road reflooded. Well, that's all we can do about it. No sense fighting them until they're relocated. We'll let them build back. And when it starts approaching the road again, we'll have to unclog it, whether that's tomorrow or at the end of the week. This is what I was telling everyone about. Ear piercing. especially if you're out there walking near them. Let's see if we can find one. They're very hard to find. They're tiny. And they're gonna be quiet when you're near them. If I shout, I bet it'll get quiet. That's somehow how it is sometimes. They like this. Very shallow water for laying their eggs. In person, it is very ear-piercing. They're around me. It's getting louder as I go. Let's see if I shout. Nope. Sometimes they will actually get quiet. Maybe they're not as close as I realize. Very loud. And there's multiple types of frogs. I can hear them. This is a recently drained swamp by beavers. This is at normal levels now, so they should all be fine. Just wanted to show how loud they can be. And this is not as loud as they can be, but I think it's the loudest I'm gonna find tonight. I don't know if you can hear. It's a totally different type of frog over in this area. It's the wood frogs. Somewhere over here. That are very unlikely to show themselves like the ones in my yard. It's because I raised those frogs and they're used to me. Wow, look at that. The moon is very, very red. That is awesome. Super awesome moon. Look at the size of this toad. He's big. I've been seeing a lot of them tonight. Probably hundreds of them I've been dodging in the road. They're big so you can see them and you just make sure you don't run them over. I see a lot of them tonight. I had to get out and see. I haven't seen a toad this year. Oh my gosh, they're all so big tonight. Every single one I'm seeing is massive. Look at that. Look at that guy. He's huge. I don't really want to pick them up because they almost always pee on you. There was a couple more just a moment back, too. That guy's huge. Yep, there's another one. And another one. And there's another one over there. Yep, we got a bunch. They're all on the road tonight. Anytime it rains out on these type of roads, you'll see a bunch of them, but especially early like this when they're all coming out of hibernation. Oh my gosh, this one is even bigger than the first one I stopped to see. Wow, look at you. You are insanely massive. Look at the size. Boom, 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 boom. It's just thumping. It's just thumping along. That thing is big. It's a big, big toad. Massive. They're all massive tonight. Any more up here, right in front of my lights? Hey everyone. These roads have got worse than I have ever seen in years now. The melting frost with a week long of rain. The water can't drain because it's still frozen under there. This is what it's like. Hours on end, nothing but holes and mud. Thank you for reaching the end of today's video, everyone. This is probably one of the longest videos of unclogging I've ever made. I like to make a full version like this, showing all the events of my day, and a little bit of starting the next day. We're going to probably make a whole nother video like this as we continue on our way today after all that severe rain. And I'm also going to post a bunch of shorter versions of just the uncloggings that people want to see. But I like to make a really long video for people can see how the day is, how we keep returning to different areas and we're not just sticking around. But in the shorter versions, that'll be all spliced together, certain areas as if we didn't even leave. But enjoy the slideshow, and thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.